We begin in the United States, where President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump went head-to-head in their first debate of the 2024 presidential race. The 90-minute debate with mic cuts and no live audience was held at CNN headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. The debate focused on a wide range of topics, including the economy, foreign policy, immigration, abortion rights, and more. And President Biden wasted no time in criticizing Donald Trump's economic legacy during his term in office. The commander-in-chief said Trump left him an economy that was in free fall. But Donald Trump said everything was, quote, rocking good when he was president.
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good.
On foreign policy, Donald Trump seized the opportunity to target President Biden over the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan in 2021. He called the withdrawal the most embarrassing day in the history of the United States. However, President Biden clapped back and referred to the claims of Donald Trump labeling the soldiers as suckers. The Democrat invoked the memory of his late son, Beau, who served in Iraq and later died of cancer.
I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his four-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
But Donald Trump went on to say that President Biden is leading the country into World War III.
We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
Now, the two presidential nominees also clashed on immigration, which remains a hot-button issue for American voters. President Biden accused Donald Trump of exaggerating the state of the country's immigration crisis, while the Republicans said President Biden had failed to secure the southern border, allowing scores of criminals into the United States. The debate took a heated turn when the topic turned to abortion rights, and the former president tried to shift attention to what he called Democratic extremism. He falsely claimed that Democrats support abortions after babies are born, whereas President Biden called Trump's actions a terrible thing. After the Republican boasted of nominating 3 Supreme Court judges that helped overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, the 90-minute debate had moments of stumbles by President Biden, once again raising concerns about his age and fitness for office. In fact, in one instance, the president conflated his administration's COVID response with Medicare, giving Trump the upper hand.
What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
The Biden campaign made clear to note that President Biden was, in fact, battling a cold, which explained his raspy voice. However, that did not stop President Biden from attacking Trump over his hush money conviction and equating the Republicans' morals to that of an alley cat.
The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, What are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star.
Former President Donald Trump also tried to dodge questions about his response to the Capitol Hill attack on January 6, but President Biden would not let him off the hook.
The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill, and all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted.
Now, with the first debate in the books, both men, in theory, have time to recover from their performances until September, when the second presidential debate is scheduled. Until then, voters have time to decide who they would prefer to be the next president of the United States. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.
On the show today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can we expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
Start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America.